Alright guys, so this is going to be a good one today. We're going to be going through my 4 tips that I use to not only just invest in Pokemon, especially when it comes to sealed product, like how am I going to do things going into 2025. This year has been an absolute crazy year for Pokemon. I kind of feel like it really has picked up in the last core of the year, you know, with the release of Surging Sparks and then moving into Terrestrial Festival, the Japanese set, and then going into 2025. The somewhat like beginning in the middle part of this year wasn't really that great. You know, we had Twilight Masquerade, which did pretty well during the summer. But even then, before then, Temporal wasn't that great, you know, to start with. I mean, even Twilight Masquerade wasn't that great to start with. People didn't really care about that set at all. It was just there. And I think when it boomed, everyone was like, oh, hang on a minute, this is the best set ever. It's a bit of a weird one there. Palais and Fates, I think, started the year off pretty good. You know, Palais and Fates, the Fate set as a whole, my favorite sets. I loved Shining Fates. I loved Hidden Fates. So for me, absolute home run. It's now showing strength towards the end of this year. And then we had Shroud of Fable. No one cared. That to me is, you know, some people call it the Pokemon Go of the era. I think it's probably better than Pokemon. I do actually it is better than Pokemon Go, but it's still not great compared to everything else. Then we had Stellar Crown. Like Stellar Crown, one of my favorites. I do like it mainly because I had the dash button in the set. But outside of the dash button, set's not that great. And then we had Surging Sparks, which kind of just set, I think, a new norm moving forward into 2025 and the rest of the Scarlet and Violet era, which is basically everyone is hyped up to their eyeballs, everyone is having mass FOMO, and yeah, people just doing silly stuff and crazy stuff. So today, we're going to pull that aside. We're going to be looking at some, you know, little tips and things that I'm going to be doing myself and how I do things moving forward going into 2025. So let's start with the first one. First one's pretty basic, pretty straightforward, which is set up a budget, you know, set up a budget of how much you may be looking to spend every single month, and then do a little bit of research, right? Now, for me, setting up a budget can also be quite tricky. You know, most people these days, unfortunately, you know, might not be able to have a huge amount of disposable income to, you know, go out and spend hundreds or even thousands of pounds, dollars on sealed product or anything, in fact. So it's about setting a budget, obviously, within your means. And for me, you know, this year's been pretty tough of setting budgets because of unexpected expenditures, which I'll get into in another video. But I think setting a budget is very, very key. Very, very, very important. Even if it was small, right? You start off small. Let's say you're like, oh no, we're going to put aside £100 or $100 every single month. You know, going into 2025, you know, that's how much I'm willing to spend. And that's a pretty decent amount, right? Then you look at research. So for me, it's like, okay, well, where do I look at my information? Where do I find my information? Obviously, YouTube's very good. You know, you guys watch me, watch a bunch of other channels, get that info. But also, like, look at a place like TCG Player, if you're over in the US, is always pretty good. And what I mean by research, I don't mean just look at the prices of stuff, but like, look what's coming out in future sets. What are the upcoming releases? What is getting people hyped? What might get you hyped? You know, one of the things for me is I like to buy things I like. Not necessarily it will do very well. Yes, of course, you know, for the, you know, get the money standpoint, it's like, oh, I want to get the one that's going to give me the best return. For me, I like to go for a set that I like myself, whether or not it's got favorite artwork, or it's got my favorite Pokemon, whether I just like the theme of the set. That's what I tend to go for, you know, and sometimes that's not always the best ones, you know, it just isn't. You know, I love Shining Fates. As an investment, it was trash, right? It was terrible, yeah, but I love the set. Same with Vivid Voltage. I absolutely love Vivid Voltage. Really poor, just didn't do much, hasn't really gained much in value, you know. But then there are other sets I've never been a huge fan of. I've never been a huge fan of Fusion Strike, and look how well that's turned out, right? And I didn't actually buy that much Fusion Strike to begin with because I just didn't care for the set, right? I just wasn't interested, you know. And it just, you know, and there are other sets which I do like, which have done well. Like, you know, I really like Lost Origin. That's done well. You know, I liked Brilliant Stars. That's doing well. You obviously like Sword and Shield era. But then even when we look at, you know, Scarlet and Violet, I really like Temporal Forces. Temporal Forces is now making gains. I really like Palais and Fates. That's also doing really well. You know, and, you know, I wasn't a huge fan of Twilight Masquerade. And to be honest, I'm still not a huge fan of Twilight Masquerade, but it's doing really well. So, you know, you've got to do your research. You've got to look around, see what you like, see what other people like as well. Because if other people are hyping up a particular set, I'm not just talking about like channels on YouTube, but just looking at community pages, just seeing what is in the set as well. Because, you know, take Prismatic Evolutions, right? You might not be the biggest Eevee fan, but you can't deny how incredible and popular, you know, in demand they just evolutions are. We saw Evolving Skies, they're huge, right? So when they release a set where it contains all the evolutions and it's just like insane art and just absolute craziness, you know that people are going to love it. So it's going to be in high demand, and that will drive the value and the price up of that particular product. So you set your budget, you've done a little bit of research, you know, you're looking on places like TCG Player, maybe look on YouTube, look on PokeJace, where I get a lot of my information from, of like news, as it were, and places like that, and just get people's feel and vibes, as it were, and opinions of certain sets, certain cards, certain products, and I think that will help kind of like set the plan ahead, right? Which we'll get to in point number 2. Point number 2, plan ahead. Now, planning ahead is really important. Now, when I talk about planning ahead, is look what is coming out, right? So we're looking to 2025, okay? We have Prismatic Evolutions coming out. I call it Evolutions because it's full of EVs, right? So we have the new Prismatic set dropping in January. Pre-orders at the moment are sold out pretty much everywhere. It's very difficult to get hold of any product, okay? Now, when you did your research, if you looked it up, you know that the set comes out in January and it's going to have a 9-month release window. There are products, huge product range that's going from January all the way through to September. This doesn't include restocks. This doesn't include reprints, and it doesn't include any other products that they decide to release later after that 9-month window. This has happened with Crown Zenith, right? Crown Zenith had a huge long release window. Then there was a reprint of the restock, whatever you want to call it, of the ETBs because they got too expensive. And then they kept releasing more products of Crown Zenith after the initial big long wave release. Okay, 151, again, it got, you know, big initial printing to begin with, but the demand was very, very high for 151, but they still were just drip feeding product for a decent amount of time, and now, nearly 2 years or 18 months after the set release, we're going to be getting another new product. So keep that in mind, right? Keep that in mind with Prismatic, that it's pretty much going to go the same route. We're having a 9-month release window, and then we're going to have more product, probably another product or two later down the line. So planning ahead, you know that we've got this super duper hype set dropping in January, but it's got a long release window, okay? So that's not too bad. Then in February, you have the premium collection box of 151, which is going to be like a reprint, restock. You can call it whatever you want. There's more product here in the market. At the end of the day, that's what matters. Whether it's a reprint or not, the result is still, the end game is still the same. There is more 151 here in the market, right? So 151 hits the market. There's going to be a ton opened. The market's going to absorb it. Single card prices are going to fall. And then after that, everything will go to the moon, right? So you can plan ahead. You can do your budget, work out what you want to buy. Then moving on, we do have another release coming, I think it's in March, which is going to be another set. It's probably going to be a main set, so we're looking at a booster box set. So again, very interesting. Then after that, we have Black and White, I think, which might be another booster box set. It might be anything. We don't really know yet. The information hasn't come out. And then you've got Team Rocket, which is a super duper hype set as well. So we have a lot of big sets dropping next year, and it's like setting up that budget, right? If you're looking at £100 or $100 every single month, and you're like, right, okay, well, I know Prismatic, so we're coming out in January. It's going to be hyped. It's going to be overpriced initially. So maybe you can go, oh, you know what? I might look at spending some money on something else, right? Getting hold of it is going to be, you know, pretty tough. You're going to get people, they're going to try and milk it and sell it for a silly, silly price, right? So you can be like, okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to spend 100 there. I might buy, you know, a box of, I don't know, some Scarlet and Violet or a set or something like that, right? Which would be pretty good. Then you go into February, you can be like, actually, you know what? I'm going to pick up some Blooming Waters, right? Price of them, I believe, is $60, $65, something like that. You can look at pick up some of them. You can even go, you know what? In January, I'm not going to spend anything, and I'm going to buy 3 lots with that £100, $100 budget when it comes to the Blooming Waters, and so on and so forth. Like, you know, so yeah, definitely plan ahead. Think about what's coming out, what releases are coming out, and like by doing research, like for me, booster boxes are very good. ETBs are pretty good. You know, ideally, you want to be going for Pokemon Center ETBs. You know, booster bundles seem to be pretty good as well. So for me, those are the products which I'm looking at. I mean, I've got some of them behind me. You know, we got booster boxes there. We've got some ETBs. Those are usually the type of stuff that I tend to go for. But not normally like triple pack blisters and stuff like that. I'm not interested in that. But yes, planning ahead will help you budget. Planning ahead will help you know what's coming out in the next few months, so you can budget and you can do your research, and it all kind of melds in together, which is pretty good. But one thing you don't want to do is point number 3. Point number 3, FOMO. Yes, it's FOMO. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You know, it's tough. I've fallen into FOMO many times. You know, especially in the Sword and Shield era. When I came back into the hobby, I had massive FOMO because it was like it was just before the pandemic. Pandemic hit. All the prices availability just went right up, and you had people hyping up literally anything and everything. And you know, I bought a load of stuff which was stupidly overpriced, like in the grand scheme of things, like paying £200, nearly £200 a box for Vivid Voyage, paying over £200 a box for Dance and Blaze. You know, you think now, you're thinking, what? But that's what it was, you know. And even after that, you know, we had the Charizard UPC. You know, a lot of people got FOMO with that. A lot of people got FOMO with Celebrations. That was a huge FOMO one, massive. You know, with the UPC, just anything Celebrations, people were paying way over MSRP for them on release, and it was madness. And yeah, you know, you just keep getting the FOMO. And even now, right, we're getting serious FOMO now. You look at Surging Sparks as a prime example. People paying, you know, yes, the market price has gone up, but people were paying a lot of money for it. You look at Terrestrial Festival, the Japanese set that just dropped out. You know, we have seen, or I have seen anyway, booster packs sell for £30 to £40 a pack. I'm not even kidding. I was shocked to see booster boxes go for £300 to £400. It's just madness. And especially when it comes to the Japanese ones, we've seen it with these high class sets. They spike right up before Christmas, come the new year, and when the English set comes out, no one cares. Like, just no one cares. And the prices drop and loads of stock hit the market. It just happens all the time. It's happened with, you know, Shiny Treasure. It's happened with Restock Universe, VMAX Climax, and so on. So it's just the way it goes. But yeah, a lot of people were hyped. And then Prismatic, you know, people were paying just insanity prices for a product that's not even out yet. Now, don't get me wrong, it will be very good. And a lot of people were saying that Prismatic ETBs, like, are $100 ETBs already before they've even come out. I don't know what the situation is like over in the US, but over here in the UK, a lot of places, one, haven't got their pre-orders up yet, and they won't do until maybe a week out, 2 weeks out, right? And two, they limit it. There's so many places I've ordered from, and I've seen where you can order from, where they're like, one per customer. You can buy it at 50, but you can only have one. That's it. One per account. Right? That's great. In my opinion, that's great. You know, it allows people to have access to it, allows it, you know, most people to get hold of it, which I like. But it means that no one can go along and just, you know, supermarket sweep style and just grab everything, right? Which is really, really bad. So the limitations on that, very good. I don't know what the situation is over in the US, but it sounds like people can just, it's like Wild West, just buy whatever you want, which is pretty bad. But for me, I managed to order a lot of Prismatic. You know, we've got maybe for the streams, I don't know, 400 or 500 packs. Some have been cancelled already, which is kind of annoying. You know, I think a lot of places, you know, have put up their pre-orders. They find out their allocations are not going to be as much. They cancel orders. And I think that's pretty much how it's going to go. Now, don't get me wrong. I think this set is going to be absolutely incredible. I think this set's going to do very well in the long term. But it does have a long release window. So, you know, the ETBs are going to be the chase product, as it were. But you're going to have all the other products coming out as well. So, you know, there is a lot of FOMO. And there will be a lot of FOMO when we come to Team Rocket. And there will be a lot of FOMO when we come to the black and white set. There's a lot happening. And right now, Pokemon's doing very well. The market's doing incredibly well. We're seeing pretty much everything go up in price. You know, people talk about the bubble popping and all that sort of stuff. That could be another video we'll get into. But right now, Pokemon market's doing well. Don't FOMO. And if you did miss something, so what? Who cares? You know, there's been tons of products which I've missed. Tons. Absolute tons. I mean, take Pokemon Center ETBs. Half the time I miss them. You know, half the time they go live on the Pokemon Center website. I don't even know. And by the time I've stumbled across it, it's gone. You know, I was very lucky to get hold of some Prismatics But with some of the others, I missed them. I missed the 151 UPCs, the Pokemon Center ones. I got behind me, those ones. I'm like pointing, but I don't really know where I'm pointing. They sold out by the time I could get them. I couldn't get them. And we were very lucky. We actually got a restock on the Pokemon Center website about a month or two after the initial release. And that's how I picked them up. So it's not always the case, but if you miss it, you miss it. You know, there's always more opportunities down the line. You know, I get a lot of people going, oh, Jace, you know, I missed the boat on Evolving Skies. It's absolutely fine. That can happen. That's fine. You missed the boat. Wait for the next one. You know, and for me, I've missed the boat quite a few times, but I try not to get into the FOMO, because when you go into the FOMO, you end up going over budget, in debt, and so on and so forth. And that's just not good. Point number 4, diversify your product. Right, so diversifying your product and sets. What does that really mean? Well, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Don't go all in on Surgeon Sparks. Don't go, I mean, yes, it's doing well, but don't go all in on Surgeon Sparks. Don't go all in on Prismatic. Change it up a bit. You know, I've talked about videos in the past of like, you know, if you said to me, would I buy an Evolving Skies box for, I don't know, let's say £800, or would I rather buy that for 800 or buy maybe, I don't know, a case of, I'm just trying to think of a set, Twilight Masquerade, right? I don't know if the Twilight Masquerade case is 800, probably less than that, but let's say a case of Twilight Masquerade. So a case of Twilight Masquerade or an Evolving Skies booster box. Me personally, even though I don't like Twilight Masquerade, from a, you know, invest standpoint, I would go with the case of Twilight Masquerade. Yes, I can see Evolving Skies going up to £1,000 a box. Yes, I can see Evolving Skies going up to £2,000 a box, right? If I can get 6 boxes of Twilight Masquerade, and Twilight Masquerade goes up to, say, £500 a box, which it's got that potential to, I'm doing really well. Like, I'm doing really well, right? And it's like, the risk is also lower because I'm getting a whole bunch of product from Twilight Masquerade rather than going for like Evolving Skies, right? Or if someone said to me, you know, what would I rather do, buy a box of Evolving Skies, or with the £800 buy 6 boxes of 6 different sets? I would prefer to go 6 boxes from 6 different sets. You know, absolutely. You know, if someone said that, I'd be like, yeah, cool, I'll grab a Twilight, I'll grab a, you know, Stellar Crown, I'll grab a Temporal, you know, Paleo, or whatever it is. Like, I'll just go and pick up pretty much all the other Skull and Violet era sets. You know, so you don't want to go all in on one. You know, I've seen people in the past go all in on one particular product or a set. A lot of people went all in on Celebrations. Celebrations hasn't really done much. If I went all in on Shining Fates, bearing in mind at the time, Shining Fates ETBs here in the UK were going for £80 a pop. Imagine if I went in right at the start on Shining Fates and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go crazy and buy Shining Fates. I would have got wrecked. If I went all in on Pokemon Go, I would have got ruined. Same with Vivid Voyage and Darts Ablaze. So, you know, it's good to diversify, right? And I think diversify between sets. And you can do it with products as well, but I tend to just stick, like I say, mainly with ETBs and booster boxes. But you can still diversify into other products. And some of those products have done well. You know, we've looked at things like collection boxes or premium collection boxes. They're very good. You look at the Eevee ones, the one with Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon. They've done really well. The Marnie Milkon, another really good collection box. UPCs, pretty much across the board, UPCs have been doing very well, right? The 151's been doing well, Charizard's been doing well, even the Arceus has been doing very well. So, you know, the Ultra Premium collection boxes, I think, are great ones as well. And I always say premium is key. It's one of the things I say on this channel, is that premium is key. It's because it is. Most premium products tend to do really well. So yeah, UPCs are pretty good. Again, it's all about like whether or not you can store them. They are big, they're bulky, they're kind of a pain, but they are pretty good products. Yeah, you know, booster boxes, ETBs are pretty good. Booster bundles I think are a great little smaller option to go for it. Here in the UK, another really good one is half booster boxes. Half booster boxes are a fantastic product to pick up, and usually they're cheaper, which is always nice. So half booster boxes is another one to look out for as well. But the stuff like, not loose packs, but blisters and stuff, I tend to avoid, even though they do go up in value, especially if it's a really, really popular set. Yeah, we saw it with Evolving Skies, of course. We're now seeing it with stuff like Lost Origin. So eventually they do, but as a rule, booster boxes is usually the best one to go for. But yeah, some collection boxes are also pretty good, and of course ETBs are pretty good. But yeah, diversifying between sets will make sure you don't get absolutely ruined just in case the set doesn't do well. Not every set booms. Some do it slower, some don't do it at all. You know, so just change up a bit. But there you have it, guys. Those are my 4 tips. Hopefully, you know, you can take this away and, you know, use it yourself and see how well we go into 2025. This is pretty much, I would say, the blueprint, as it were, of what I tend to do when it comes to a set. I like to look at a set. I like to evaluate it. I like to see what other people's thoughts and feelings are towards a set. Look at the cards that are going to be in a set and kind of make my own judgments and stuff like that. Like when I looked at Surging Sparks, when the leagues started to come out, I saw the Latias and Latios, and I thought, wait a minute, this is going to be a good set. I don't really care what else is going to be in this set, just because it has those two in the artwork combined as like a throwback to Team Up. It's going to be an incredible set. And then they showed the Pikachu, and they started showing the Milotic and all this other insane stuff. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be a big one. And pull rates, you know, I didn't really talk about pull rates much in this video, but pull rates do impact the set value as well. If the pull rates are easy, no one cares. You know, the value isn't there. Everybody has it. Take Obsidian Flames, prime example. You know, it will climb eventually, but it'll just take a little bit longer. You know, Crown Zenith had really good pull rates. Just ton of it around. Still a very good set, and the cards perform very well. It doesn't always just completely end a set, but it definitely helps make a set boom. Surging Sparks, tough pull rates. Twilight Masquerade, tough pull rates. Northern Skies, tough pull rates. Lost Origin, tough pull rates. Fusion Strike, Chill and Rain, these all have tough pull rates, and look how well they've done. But then you look at Battle Styles, that has tough pull rates, that hasn't done very well either. So it doesn't always mean tough pull rates mean it's going to be a home run, but it does have an impact, especially if it goes along with big chase cards that people really want as well. But that is it from me, guys, in today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content. And let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and what tips and advice can you give to help others when they want to invest in Pokemon, especially going into 2025. But yeah, these are the things that I tend to use. Like I say, let me know your thoughts. Do you like these type of videos where I go through, sit here, chat, chill, and we go through it all? Let me know, and we'll do more like this in the future. But that's it for me, guys, in today's video. If you want more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on screen, and of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.